I am afraid of losing my freedom. This is something that I hear quite a lot. What this actually goes to show is that if you believe that you can lose your freedom, you think that freedom is something that you simply have coming from without you and that it can be taken away from you. Here's what I invite you to contemplate on. What if freedom is actually a byproduct of you taking radical responsibility and committing to something or someone or even to yourself wholeheartedly? What if freedom is not about where you are, whom you're with, and how you're experiencing it? What if freedom has nothing to do with you doing what you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want? What if freedom, again, is a byproduct of greater meaning in your life, of living in alignment with your values? To be able to bloom beyond perfectionism actually means that you declutter the layers upon layers upon layers of shoulds and have-tos imposed onto you through your lifetime, through your upbringing, through ancestral trauma that's been passed on. To bloom beyond perfectionism really means that you uncover what your core values are. And when you uncover what your core values really are, and you begin to live in alignment with, in accordance with, and from your core values, guess what is the byproduct? The byproduct is freedom. Freedom is not something to be purchased, is it? Freedom is not something to be received from another. Freedom is not something that you can get from an external source. Freedom is a byproduct. It's the fruits, it's the harvest of you blooming beyond perfectionism. It's you being able to get clear on what your core values are. What your values are, not someone else's. And to live in accordance with those values. Again, I hear this a lot. I'm afraid of losing my freedom. But when you say that I'm afraid of losing my freedom, what you're really afraid of then is fully committing. Fully committing to your core values, fully committing to living in accordance to those, and fully committing to maybe someone else. When you're fully present, you realize that committing fully to someone is actually an exercise of your own freedom. Because now you're no longer a slave, right, to pleasure, but free to actually live from the essence of who you really are. As a light, as a sunflower, as a bloomer. Whenever you are kind of doing what you want, where you want, when you want, and with who you want, you are not free. You are distracted. When you lack commitment, you are actually scattered. You're directionless. You're unstable and you're unrooted. I know. Because I've felt incredibly ungrounded whenever I have basically let go of commitments or not chosen to live in accordance to commitments or whenever I have basically done exactly what I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want. Because it can give you a momentarily kind of satisfaction and pleasure to do those things. But when you fully devote yourself to something, to living in accordance to your values, then the byproduct is freedom. Because again, freedom cannot be purchased. It can't be achieved. It can't be coming from some external source. Now, that I've realized that commitment is essential and that responsibility is essential for freedom to be a byproduct. When you, again, lack commitment, when you lack responsibility, you are then scattered again, you're directionless, you're unstable and unrooted. You're literally ungrounded. You feel ungrounded. And when you then honor your commitments, honor your responsibilities as far as you living in accordance to your values, then you feel focused. You feel like your energy is flowing. You feel free. You feel free from destructive tendencies and free from perfectionistic tendencies. This is what's so incredible. You actually feel free from procrastination even, or hustling for others, confirmation or validation. True freedom doesn't come from being able to do whatever you please all the time. It comes from being able to commit yourself to basically fulfill on the things that you say that you would like to do. That you commit yourself to fulfilling on the values that you have for yourself in your life and your business. That you live from your core essence. So when I say that I help high performers create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism with the power of the subconscious mind, what does that really mean then? What does it really mean to create a life and business of freedom? What it actually means is that you have freedom from perfectionism. When you have freedom from perfectionism, you have spiritual freedom first and foremost, right? Because you live from a place of light, from a place of being the sunflower and the bloomer that you truly are. You also have emotional freedom and mental freedom because you are not directed by your emotions, let's say, or your thoughts, let's say, to push, prove, and please. It means, again, to have this spiritual freedom, psychological freedom, and mental freedom. It means to have bodily freedom, to have physical freedom, to have financial freedom. It means to have these kinds of freedoms that are a byproduct of you committing and taking radical responsibility for your reality, your circumstances and events, the people, places, and things that have been manifested in your life. And also knowing that you have the light, the sunflower and bloomer within you to co-create with the universe, knowing that not everything is on your shoulders. That is freedom. Freedom means to go beyond the compulsion and the coping mechanism that perfectionistic tendencies actually bring, like that of pushing, proving, and pleasing, like that of living from shame, guilt, fear, and pain, like that of not living in accordance to your values, like that of not having boundaries, like that of not being able to be intuitively guided to communicate clearly a yes and a no, like that of not consciously creating and wholeheartedly loving. That is what this is about. So, with this contemplation on freedom, I invite you right now to look at your definition of freedom and being able to give yourself compassion and grace as you look upon that definition. Because your definition of freedom, like any other value, will evolve, it will grow, it will change with your experience, especially experience that actually has an enormous impact on your subconscious beliefs. Because it's through practical experience very often, subconscious beliefs can change. Subconscious values can change. So it's through events and circumstances. It's through these things that you actually can see the value of freedom shift. But look at what your value of freedom is right now. What is the definition of freedom to you right now? And what has the definition of freedom been to you in the past? And what byproducts have you experienced in your life? What kind of fruits have you harvested in your life as a result of that definition? Being radically honest with yourself now. Saying, if I, for instance, have believed and thought that the definition of freedom is to be where I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want, what has that produced in my life thus far? Because if I have that definition, automatically I will have actions aligned with that. I will have boundaries aligned with that. I will basically live in accordance with that definition. And what has that produced in my life as far as circumstances, as far as events, as far as people, places, and things? And sit with that. And honor that. That this has been the definition for you up until this point. That's not to say that it has to be. Actually, that can shift. If you choose to shift the definition for yourself. When you change the definition at a subconscious level, when you have been convicted and have so much emotional conviction behind that, like that value can shift. The definition of the value can shift. So that you begin acting in new ways. Because you have redefined the way that you will show up from here on out. From here on out, you will start acting in different ways, make choices in different ways, and make decisions in different ways. And that will produce a different kind of freedom. Or different products, byproducts of freedom. I've actually found that freedom, again, for me, is coming more and more and more from taking radical responsibility, being courageous, brave with my life, in my commitments, in what I commit to, what I devote myself to. And with that meaning, that freedom flourishes, and it is truly felt in the heart. It's really powerful. Yet I know, and I am so grateful for, that I have also experienced different definitions of freedom, different ways of looking at freedom. because the experience that I've gotten from that have led me to where I am now and the way that I see it now. Knowing that at some point I viewed it one way, now I view it a different way. And that is growth. That is true growth. That is freedom. I invite you to apply to join the Bloom Beyond tribe, where you can basically get further clarity on what freedom is to you. Because when you get clear on that definition and you get coached to realize what that definition is for you, you can begin to create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism with the power of your subconscious mind by shifting your subconscious beliefs. And thus you will shift your actions, choices, decisions, the way that you show up. That is so powerful. And I would want that for you. Like I want that for myself and everyone else. So go to bloombeyond.com/apply to join. You'll get a free monthly cohort in there. Be coached by me and also be surrounded by others who are on that same journey of consciously creating freedom from within. Stay bright, stay brave, and stay balanced.